Once again, moving the farm forward, some big steps in the works today. We're going to make some huge progress and ponder some ideas for the future to get this thing right. The biggest piece I'm starting to wonder is if I still have too much time in the day in this game. What I'm seeing is that I can get everything done and take on and complete multiple contracts before we even hit late afternoon. And that's not the kind of playthrough I want. The entire goal here in this playthrough is to not allow myself to do everything all at once. I should be working until the sun starts to set and have to make decisions throughout the day on what to prioritize. I'm doing better than I did in the past, but it still needs some tweaking. The biggest problem I'm facing is that if contracts are available and lucrative, well, gosh darn it, I'm going to take them. The only thing that would stop me from taking them is if they're not logistically feasible, I couldn't justify my character actually doing the work, or if I'd simply run out of time before the contract times out. It's actually a nice feature they added in this edition, showing how much time is left on the contract. But I do really enjoy the contracts. I like seeing the breadth of the vehicles available, how they work, how they perform, and how long or how much of a pain certain crops are to deal with. For example, through doing these contracts, I suspect I might never want to plant green beans or spinach. These harvesters take absolutely forever. And in the past, in 22, Farming Simulator 22, I would take on like sugar beet harvesting or carrot harvesting. And now I know that's an absolute nightmare. I never want to do that ever again. As you'll see, I've been purposely avoiding some carrot harvesting contracts that look like they pay nicely because I have no interest in dealing with that. But this does come back to the timescale issue. I've got several very lucrative contracts going simultaneously in this playthrough, and that's fine. I'm still going to allow for AI workers to get this part done. I mean, as much as I do love a simulation game, I truly don't have the interest to sit in the driver's seat of a harvester driving 6 miles per hour for a couple hours of gameplay sessions. I mean, I am trying to keep it real but fun after all. But these are things that should take several days to get done out of the month and not something I knock out between 10 and 2 on a Tuesday afternoon. Now in this video, I've got the timescale set to 3x and I'm starting to think I should move it up to 5x. I find myself getting a little dismayed, honestly, when it's 2 p.m. and I have literally nothing else to do in a day but take on increasingly piddling contracts. And I love the big contracts. I love driving those big boys. There are so many tractors in this game, and honestly, as I get money one day, I have no idea how I'm going to decide which one makes the most sense. And on top of all the tractors already in the game, of course, I went and downloaded about 20 more in mods just because they looked cool and I couldn't stop myself. It was truly absurd. This makes me also think that I might shorten the days in the month for the beginning. I wanted to do 4-day months, but without crops. That doesn't really make any sense. That gives me far too much time to do just infinity contracts and rack up a ton of money, which will break the playthrough. Or even worse, I'll end up doing a ton of tiny contracts because I feel obligated to fill the time, and those tiny contracts have terrible margins, so I'll get annoyed and bored because I'm losing the soul of the game doing a bunch of busy work. Alright, decision made. After this, 5x timescale, 3-day months, at least for the time being. It's fall, which means winter obviously is next, and then hopefully in spring things will open up a bit more. I spent a big chunk of this session finishing up some big contracts, and then I get to finish the day by working on the rest of my property. The goals for the day are get some more fertilizer and seeds in my garden plots. I really just want to stay far ahead of those and not have to buy them in big chunks anymore. Man, I really hope these things actually work in the winter. These are the only things providing me income at present, really. My chickens are going slower than I expected on the eggs. I'm going to get some more chicken feed today and try to stay ahead of that as well, and then do some watering across the board. I'm in that part of the game, and maybe this is perpetual, honestly, come to think of it, where as I get money in, I spend it all immediately on bolstering what I currently have. I actually feel like I'm barely making progress as a big chunk of what I make goes right back into fertilizer and seeds and feed and the occasional new animal. I mean, I guess this is just a percentage of a fraction of what actual farmers feel. So this might just be what life is like in that world. Luckily, those early contracts did add a nice amount to my bank account. Too much, if I'm being honest. I really got to dial that in. So I decided to go ahead and sell a little more of my produce. This time it looks a lot less random now that I've dialed in each garden plot to be one crop rather than a crapshoot across the board. Variety might be cool in real life, but I've got to keep it simple for this run, at least for right now. I mean, I think that's what I do in real life. I would start small and then expand as I get really good at something. A big positive development, I got a lot better at picking up and loading pallets onto my trailer. I edited out most of the foibles from last time, but I was having an incredibly hard time in the previous video getting those pallets on the crates. I mean, I was hopping around, pushing the wrong button, tipping things, spinning them in circles. Now I look actually downright competent, so I might not need an auto loader mod. Take these over to the farmer's market down the road, drop them off, make a little bit of cash. I wonder if there will come a point where I actually store these to maximize pricing, or if they're so small it barely matters. But that's a future problem. Right now, I need the cash. Though that does bring me to a good thought of how much realism I intend to actually incorporate. Am I willing to stash perishables for an extended period of time to secure the best pricing? I think I would like to as I get more revenue streams, but I'll need to think of an in-universe explanation to how I can justify that, though that is also a future problem. So with some contracts finished, my products sold, and still too much time in the day, it was time to think about the next project for the farm. Buying a field, still too expensive. I can't deal with getting the tractor and the tools and all that set up. So another animal is the easy next choice. Did some reading. Goats require dairy, which I don't want to mess with. They say pigs are actually a pain, which means cows it is. And the choice was dairy cows or meat cows. And as much as I would love some dairy cows, if I were going to go dairy, I would start goats. Like I said, dairy takes a little more apparatus. I haven't researched this in game, but I have in actual life. For meat cows, you just need a field and some grass. Obviously, like things like vet care. But dairy cows actually do take a lot more work and setup. Mostly the maintenance and milking and the handling that. Rewarding, but I want to get a little better setup first. So I went with meat cows. Real easy. I put down inexpensive pasture and just needed to make sure they had food and water. Now, water is easy, but I did recall reading that cows like TMR the most, total mixed rations. So I bought some. Well, that was a small mistake. Turns out the big bags of TMR I purchased aren't the ones that my mods will let me lift by hand, and I have no way to pick this up. So my options are to buy a telehandler, which I'm not going to do, lease a telehandler to pick it up, which seems silly, or use a different food. I looked into it a bit, and I guess the cow's growth to full size isn't really affected by using like hay instead of TMR. TMR apparently matters more for dairy cows. I could be wrong there, but for simplicity, I'm just going to go with the tried and true hay. Very silly thing I did here. I get the hay delivered, the pasture ready, and now I just need to get a few cows. I'm glad they limit this pasture size to 7 cows. Feels like a fair cow to space ratio for the game. I chose Black Angus, got 7 babies, and now I just wait until they're fully grown to sell for hopefully a tidy profit, and then do it again and again and again. Honestly, they made cows really simple money in this game. Might not be a lot, but I wonder how long until the cows pay off the pasture cost, which was 15K, and then I really get into the money. With my farm chores done for the day, it's time for a few more contracts to round this out. Some nice, slow, peaceful harvesting contracts that don't take too much time. I just need to drive a harvester and then drive a truck and drop it off. These will push me to the end of the day and let me start taking some real steps forward tomorrow. And that is all for today, my friends. Thank you again for joining me while I share these thoughts on the game and how I've been progressing. More to come soon as we try to build a really grounded run in Farming Simulator. From all of us here at Mediocre Industries, it's just me. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.